Hi developers, I'm Hussam Delai, Premier Field Engineer at Microsoft. In this video, I'll show you how to create the CI/CD pipelines to build and publish a Nuget package into Azure artifacts. For that, we'll be using Azure DevOps. So to start with, here I'll show you what are the different steps that we'll do during the CI and the CD pipelines. Then we'll move to the implementation using Azure DevOps with the .NET Core application. So to start here, first of all, we'll have the application's source code on the developer's machine. So we'll have something like that. Those could be the code source, whether in C# and Java or JS applications. Then we will go to publish those into a Git repository. So here we'll have the Git repository. And then from here we start running the CI and CD pipelines. So first of all, we'll run the build pipeline, or what we call also as the CI pipeline. During this task right here, what we'll go to do is that we'll go to run those different commands. First of all is to build. So in case of .NET, we'll run .NET build. The build command will build the source code files and it will generate the DLLs. But at the end of the build, we want to generate the Nuget package itself. So we don't generate that with .NET build, but we generate that with another command, which is .NET pack. .NET pack will take that build and then it will generate the Nuget package with the extension nu.pkg. So those are the steps needed during the build. The objective is to generate the Nuget package. After that, we'll move to the release pipeline or the CD pipeline. The release or the CD, if we comment early. So during the release, the objective is to take that generated package from here, the Nuget package .nu.pkg file. The objective is to take this nu.pkg file and deploy it into a public repository. So let's add that step here. So we'll run the command .NET push. So with .NET push, we can deploy to multiple sources. So first of all, we can use Azure DevOps, for example, or Azure using Azure artifacts. But we can also deploy to some other public repositories, like something like nuget.org, for example. We can also deploy into npm JS for the JavaScript packages and so on. And we can also deploy into, in the case for Java applications, we can deploy into we can deploy MVN packages and also Gradle. So those are the different sources supported by Azure DevOps. And with Azure DevOps, I can create the pipeline for all of those packages that we want here. So this supports not only code with C# and .NET, but it also supports Java, anything that is JavaScript, supports also Python. So here we can also publish PIP. Those are the Python packages. So yeah, this is now the typical flow to start from the application source code for the library that you want to reuse in your projects. You generate during the build, you generate that package. Then during the release, you publish it into those different artifacts. Later, we want to access and download those packages in order to install them in your application. So here what we do is that from your IDE tool like Visual Studio, for example, or from Eclipse or any other tool, you can connect to those different repositories. So here we have the connect operation. So here typically you pass an URL, and on that URL you have a JSON response that will give you information about all the packages available on your public repository. Now let's see how that works with Azure DevOps. What we want to achieve here is to create the CI pipeline and the CD pipelines using the YAML configuration files. At the end we'll have something that looks like this one here, where we have the different steps for the build and for the release of the packages. This could be done manually. You might have seen one of my previous videos about how to create Nuget packages that uses the new spec file. This one contains all the metadata about the project. And then using the nuget.exe command line, we can package and we can build and deploy those packages into something like nuget.org, for example. But the goal of this video is to automate this process. So we'll do that through CI/CD pipelines. To start with, I have the project available here on my GitHub repository, and this project right here. And here you can see the different files I'm using. I have in my library.nuget, here I have the implementation of that library. I have the class calculator.cs, which contains just one method for the demo to add two doubles. Then I had the .cs proj file, which is the configuration file that is used by Visual Studio in order to understand what are the dependencies for this project. And here we see we have the target framework 2.2. Of course, you can change that. And then we have this section. This contains some metadata about the Nuget package, something like the package ID. This one could contain the name of the package. That name, of course, should be unique for in the scope of your package repository. And then you have the version number for that package, because here we might update this package regularly, so we want to choose a newer version each time we create a new deployment. The name of the author, description about what the package does, and we have a property is packable set to true in order to be able to pack this package. So the source code is available right here on GitHub. Then from the CI or from using Azure DevOps, from here I start by creating a new project. For that I go to the home page for my Azure DevOps account, and from here I'll go to click New Project, assign a name for my project, and here I'll go to choose that I want this project to be publicly available. Hit Create. This will take a few seconds while Azure DevOps is spinning up all the resources needed to manage this project. Once that's done, now I have here at the left side the menu for all the different options available in Azure DevOps. Here I'll go to choose pipelines. I want to create the CI/CD pipelines. I'll go to create the first pipeline for this project, and here we have actually two different options. First option is to use the classic editor, which uses the user interface with something like a drag and drop user interface to create your pipelines, and then you have a configuration section for each task, where you can configure the task using the visual editor. And then we have the second approach, which uses the YAML configuration files. And that's what I'm going to choose here. My project is on GitHub. For that, I'll choose GitHub here. But note, you have other sources that are supported by Azure DevOps: Bitbucket, Azure Repo, other Git repository, Git Enterprise, and so on. Continuing with GitHub. Now, in my Azure DevOps account, I had already connected to my GitHub account. If you didn't already connected, you would have some button right here for connect, a blue button for connect. You click on it, and then you would get a prompt that asks you to connect to your GitHub account. For my case, I'm already connected, and here I'll choose the project that I have open right here, my library.nuget. So I'll choose that project, click on it, and from here you see that Azure DevOps actually skipped this configure task. In the configure, it would ask me what is the type of the project you have and so on. It skipped to the review, and here it opened the Azure pipelines.yaml file. And if you have noticed it in my GitHub project, I have already this file, Azure pipelines.yaml, and this is the file that contains the source code for the CI/CD pipelines. So Azure DevOps detected that file. By default, if it's named with this name, then it will open it right here. But for the sake of this demo, I'll start with a new pipeline. So first of all, we can choose the trigger, and the trigger here is, in my case, I want to trigger the CI and CD pipelines in each time I have a new commit on master. We can see the other configuration if here I type control space. Then from here I can see that I have other options I can choose from. And I have the autocomplete that would really help me. Here I'll choose the pool, and for the pool we use this in order to specify what is the virtual machine that we want to use for this pipeline. And here I want this CI/CD pipeline to run on a VM image that is of type Ubuntu 16.04. This will use Linux-based image, but you can also choose Windows or macOS-based images. After that, here I start defining the different stages for my CI/CD pipelines. I'll define only one stage right here. I'll call it the build stage, and I'll give it a display name, build stage. This display name will be shown on the console, on the Azure DevOps console window when we run this pipeline. And inside the stage, now we can define multiple jobs. So I'll go to add some other jobs right here. So on the jobs section, we add our first and only one job, which is called build Nuget. That one will have a customized display name. And here the difference, or what is important to know about jobs and stages, is that if I create more than one job or more than one stage, this means the steps inside those stages or jobs will run onto a different VM image. Okay, they will use the Ubuntu 16.04 image, but they will run on another instance of that VM image. So here I have only created one stage and one job, because in this case it's okay to run the CI and CD pipelines inside the same VM image. So this was about the jobs. Here I have added a variables section in which I have created the build configuration, which is set to release. We'll use this later inside the steps. So let's see how to do that. So here I'll start by copying or cutting the first step for this CI pipeline. So first of all, in order to be able to build those Nuget packages, first we need to restore all the dependencies used by that package. And we can run that by getting the CS proj for the project. So here I'm using this wildcard in order to tell the agent where to find the CS proj. So here it will tell it to look for any file that is called, that have the extension .csproj. And in my case, I'm sure I have only one file with that extension. Then in the arguments section, we are specifying the configuration to use the build configuration. This means when it runs the command .NET restore, then it will add this argument or dash dash configuration, then it will replace build configuration with release. Actually, we don't need this inside the restore command, but we'll need that later when we do the build. Now it's time to, after restoring the dependencies, we'll go to build the package. And in this case, what I can do here is that instead of writing the code manually, I can use the assistant. So here, if I click on show assistant, I'll have this window that lists all the tasks that I can use, and Azure DevOps can help me to configure the different configurations for these tasks. So here I'm looking for .NET Core, which is the first one that appears right here. In .NET Core, I have multiple commands available. I can do restore as we have done, and now I'm looking for build. So I select build, and then I need to give it the path to my projects. And again, here I'll use the wildcard in order to retrieve my CS_proj file. For the arguments, again, I'll use the build configuration. And as I said, we don't need this right here. And we might have some advanced options for specifying the working directory from which to look for the path to the projects. Once I'm done with this configuration, I click add, and you note here that the code was generated and added to my CI/CD pipelines right here. So it uses the same name for the command as the previous ones, and the input, the command now will be build. It will run it on the CS_proj file with the configuration release. Now that we have built the project, now we need to go to pack this project in order to generate the Nuget package itself. So again, I'll use the .NET Core command, and from here you can see that we have a command for pack. So I'll use that command, and here this command, this task will take the same configuration as the previous one. So it will look for the CS_proj file, and it will run the release configuration. And here it added the package folder is the artifact staging directory, which is the folder that contains the source code for my application. I click add, and now it is also added to my pipeline. So in this at this level here, we have the Nuget package generated. Now we just need to publish that Nuget package, but where to publish it? So if we have Nuget packages, we can publish them to a public repository like nuget.org, or we can also publish it into Azure DevOps artifacts. So let's explore this one right here. I go to open this in a new window, and you note here that I have already created some artifacts right here, but I can go to create a new one. So I click new feed. So here I'll put the name, I'll use the name my library --nuget. And from here I'll keep the visibility by default to be visible to all people, and then use the packages from public sources through this feed. I click create, and this will go to create another artifact for my project. Now from Azure DevOps Pipelines, I want to connect to this artifacts repository and publish my Nuget package into here. So I'll go back right here, and then I'll choose again .NET Core, and this time I'll use the command nuget push. This command will take the configuration, the extension file for the Nuget package, which is nupkg. This is the extension for Nuget packages, so it will go to look for that Nuget package. Then it will try to publish it into this organization. And from here, the target feed, if I click on this, I'll be able to see all the artifacts that I have created in Azure DevOps. And here I have the one that I have created right now. So I'll select that, and then from here I'll go to click add. By clicking add, you see here the generated code will use the .NET push command in order to push the artifact into to push the Nuget package into the artifact. And here we have the ID for the artifact that we have already created. So now those are all the steps in order to build and publish the artifact into Azure Artifacts. So now we are ready to save and run this pipeline. Click Save and Run, and in a few seconds an agent will be provisioned by Azure DevOps, and it will get this YAML file and it will start processing the different steps. Here I can find that the agent was queued, and here the agent will start immediately. We can see here, first step is to check out the source code from GitHub. Then it will perform the different steps that we have mentioned. So it will use the .NET Core CLI in order to restore the dependencies, run the build, package the Nuget package, and here we see the generated file was called the name of the project ID, then nupkg. So this is my Nuget package generated during the build or the pack command. After that, we run the publish, and my project now should be published into Azure Artifacts. So let's go to check that. Here I'll go back to my artifacts window, click refresh, and let's see what will happen here. I see my package, my Nuget package is now published into the artifact. And from here I'll go to download this artifact or delete it. So now my package is available publicly for anyone to use it in his projects. Now how can we use it from our projects? So here in the connect to feed section we have this window that will tell us how to connect to those different feeds. So as we said, we can deploy not only Nuget packages, but we can also deploy npm for JS-based applications, Maven for Java, Gradle, Python, and so on. And we have here the package source URL in the case of Nuget, so we should copy that link right here, and then from Visual Studio we can add this configuration to Visual Studio to be able to see the different packages available here. So let's see how to do that. Here from Visual Studio I can go to the Tools menu, then go to Nuget Package Manager, then choose Manage Nuget Packages for Solution. And from here we'll be able to see the Nuget packages that are installed, and now we want to access another source for the Nuget packages. Note here we have already some sources available right here, nuget.org or Microsoft Visual Studio offline packages. In order to add another source, we'll go to the settings window right here, and then this will give us this this window, and from here we can go to add another source. I'll go to call my sources Azure Artifacts, for example. Then here I need to paste the link that I have got from the from Azure DevOps. I click update, this will update the link right here, then click OK. And now from here I'll be able to see that new source, Azure Artifacts. I click on it, and here you see it is loading some data. This is connecting to my Azure Artifacts to the repository, and then it will get all the packages that are available on that repository. And here we see my libraries .nuget package. I hope this video was helpful for you, and don't forget you get the source code for the pipeline available right here on this GitHub repository. along with the source code, with the sample source code for the application that we have built today. So thank you.